episode saw us attempting to escape a potentially damaging cyclone by trekking off the Cape and moving farther inland. We now find ourselves somewhere between the Black Stump and the middle of nowhere.
After surviving an assault from Category 1 cyclone Sneaky Bastard, we find ourselves at the Roadside Roadhouse junction of Nanyatara. From here, myself and Wilms shall be exploring the Pilbara, starting with the awe-inspiring Karijini National Park.
From Nanyatara Roadhouse, our journey inland will take us first to the mining town of Tom Price, where we can gather supplies for our venture into the gorges of Karijini. From there, we'll take the Rio Tinto Road northwest towards the Millstream Chichester National Park. Cyclone Kwong was an unusual and unpredictable weather event. It caught both us and pretty much all of Exmouth off guard, with 120-kilometer-an-hour gusts hitting landfall well ahead of when the Bureau of Meteorology had estimated. Luckily, Kwong's unseasonably late and unexpected arrival didn't cause too much damage.
Mid-journey, we find a little roadside camp. The sun has reappeared to dry our sodden belongings, and we have some baked beans cooking on the fire. It's a prime opportunity to fire up the generator and fight zombies on the Xbox.
Oh! Trying to get the elevator again! I'm trying to get the elevator! I'm trying to get the elevator!
Oh! Everyone else, I'm surrounded!
Not far from our little campsite is a small muddy stream that's flowing well after the recent rains. The improving conditions have enticed an entire lounge of long-nosed dragons out to enjoy a little warmth in the Aussie sun. They're still keeping a low profile to avoid detection from predators such as kingfishers and whistling kites.
The Pilbara is a vast, dry and rugged tract of land covering almost 500,000 square kilometres. It teems with valuable minerals including iron ore, natural gas and unrefined beauty. The Pilbara is also blessed with striking red mountainous landscapes and stunning coastal scenery. Some of the oldest surface rocks in the world are found here, along with a proliferation of ancient Aboriginal rock art and plentiful wildlife. It can get a little warm. Australia's hottest town is situated in the region, and places here during the summer months can make the furnaces of hell look like a pleasant holiday destination.
Tom Price is an iron ore mining town 1,600 kilometers northeast of Perth, nestled at the base of the towering Mount Nameless. What the residents have to endure in isolation, they get back in the form of beautiful scenery. It has everything we need for our trip into the remote national park, and a population of very dirty little gorillas.
But I can't believe that they've got Anchor Steam, which is my favorite beer from San Francisco, in Tom Price, and for only a few dollars more than the Cooper's Pale Ale, which is what I usually get. So it's a very good day.
This little town is worth spending a few days at in the name of exploration. The surrounding countryside has much to offer.
If one is in need of stretching one's shanks, the 1,128 metre high Mount Nameless offers a hike to its summit with great views over the town and surrounding landscape.
they call it Mount Nameless, but I can think of a few choice names for it. Just wouldn't be ladylike.
Along the way you'll get some conspicuous wildflowers such as various cassia bushes. Similar looking flowers such as Cherodrenia and the bush tomatoes. There's a good variety of Eremophila plants. Mulla mulla is a prolific wildflower, especially roadside. Other wildflowers to look for in these arid environments are the small cedar flowers, saltbush, crimson foxtails, and a true prize in arid Australia, the Sturt's desert pea. For all you pigeon and dove lovers out there, keep an eye out for the diminutive diamond dove and the slightly larger, but still very small, peaceful dove.
At an elevation of 747 metres, Tom Price is the highest town in Western Australia, or, as the locals here like to say, the top town in WA. The Pilbara is the juggernaut of iron ore mining in Australia. The bulk of operations occur around Tom Price and Mount Newman, from where ginormous trains transport the mineral to ports such as Headland and Dampier. Iron ore was discovered here in the Hamersley Ranges back in the 1960s, and the Tom Price mine opened shortly thereafter. A recent mining boom gave employment to thousands, although in recent years things have been scaled back substantially.
In addition to the walk, the mountain also offers a four-wheel drive trail to the summit.
Well, after yesterday's summit of Mount Nameless on foot, we decided to drive it. We saw a little sign up on the top that claims that Mount Nameless is the
Highest vehicle access road in WA.
That's the one.
This trail can be a little tricky for fully loaded and heavy trucks. Here I'm shamefully demonstrating how to degrade a road and make things more difficult for following vehicles. On the drive to the summit, we enjoy some spectacular views that look very similar to the ones we saw in our hike.
Karijini is 75 kilometers east from Tom Price and has a well-deserved reputation amongst travelers, as it arguably has some of the most impressive gorges in the country. It's situated within the mighty Hamersley Range, which claims not only WA's highest peak, Mount Mahari, but a good number of others, such as Mount Bruce. A park campground is located in the east of the park, just a stone's throw from the spectacular Dales Gorge and Fortescue Falls. The Rim Walk offers wonderful views down into the deep chasms with tranquil, greenish pools and lush vegetation. Karijini is Western Australia's second largest national park and features some spectacular, natural, deep-cut gorges.
Karijini's set within the arid interior of the Pilbara. Now, if you're a desert-loving adventurer and you know your desert plants, you'll be well familiar with what's on offer here. On top of their cliffs, we have the cypress pine, and sharing its habitat with the snappy gum. Down into the base of the gorge, you'll find the water-loving melaleuca and river red gums. And another rock-loving plant is the caustic vine. The milky sap's poisonous, yet still it has medicinal properties. Rumour has it it was used to get rid of warts and has some antiseptic qualities to it. These little fruits belong to the black currant bush. When they darken, they're quite sweet,
and palatable, even by Western standards.
And then again, for you desert lovers, spinifex grass, and lots of it.
Some likely feathered fauna you might run across is the pied butcherbird, the tiny, unobtrusive spinifex bird, and our old friend, Cranky Guts, the mudlark. This spectacular specimen here is a golden orb weaver, and probably one of the largest ones I've ever seen. It also just so happens to be having a feast.
And you see that little tiny chap sneaking in to take a share of the food? That's the boyfriend.
The ridge walk either begins or concludes its circular pool, a chilly little pond fringed with ferns at the base of enormous red cliffs.
A swim awaits those willing to brave the frigid waters after a short stroll to the bottom of the gorge.
Within the depths of Dale's Gorge, lush vegetation flourishes amongst numerous pools.
Well, for reasons unknown along the course of the journey, the reptiles have been very slow so far. But we have found one interesting little chap, a Burton's legless lizard. So this interesting little character looks like a snake, but is not. We're going to let him go back about his business. A prolific and well-camouflaged resident that enjoys basking on warm rocks between snacks is the ring-tailed dragon. The Gould's monitor also enjoys a little sun, which in the Pilbara is not in short supply. A little farther upstream, as an optional detour, is Fern Pool, a deep, tranquil body of water with a deceptively large cataract. Exposed to a little more sunlight, Fern Pool is warmer and more suited to swimming. It also provides an opportunity to hunt around for aquatic wildlife. The only creatures we can find are spangled grunters. They're an aggressive and opportunistic feeder, easily classified as not fussy.
From the National Park campsite, it's quite a drive out to the west side of the park, where a huge network of spectacular gorges await exploration.
The landscapes here are ancient. The iron-rich sediments were laid down around 2.5 million years ago in a marine environment and later compacted into hard rock. Uplift brought these layers high above their place of birth, and the fast-flowing water runoff exploited fractures in the stone to cut these deep and impressive canyons we see today. Ox's Lookout is where a number of these deep clefts converge together into the deep red gorge with its towering cliff faces. The fractures in the rock have some less obvious uses. Rainwater is held within these fissures that slowly leak out as seeps and springs, ensuring year-round water for animals and plants, some which could not exist otherwise in this brutal environment.
Weno and Hancock Gorges are similar but highly recommended hikes. The canyons require negotiating pools of water that taper into narrow passageways. Travel here is treacherous due to smooth, slippery, wet rocks. The unofficial trail of Weno Gorge ends at Handrail Pool, but unofficially carries on a little way to a steep drop into Red Gorge. Joffrey Gorge is one of the main draw cards in this section of the park, with a waterfall that I'm sure would be quite impressive after heavy rains. Hikes in and out of these features can be steep and require climbing to a certain degree. A good measure of caution and knowledge of your own physical limitations are highly important. Any form of rescue can be very difficult in this terrain, and an untimely slip could be fatal. Knox is another of the linking watercourses, offering lengthy hikes and spectacular views.
As we are preparing to depart this impressive region, there is one last place to visit. Hammersley Gorge has a different look to its Karijini companions. Deep folds in the rock tell of torturous uplift, and the iron-rich layers can be clearly seen at the bottom. The gorge has a deep pool, charming little waterfalls, and natural spa baths, complete with its own collection of spangled grunters and hospitable dragon lizards waving goodbye. Karijini National Park's status and significance to its traditional owners does not ensure its protection. Money talks, and unfortunately for the attractions in the region, they are loaded with high-quality iron ore. Originally called Hammersley National Park, when it was first declared in 1969, it has already suffered some reduction from its original size to accommodate mining operations. We're leaving Tom Price on a chilly morning towards Karratha via the Millstream Chichester National Park. We're going to take a railway access road which belongs to Rio Tinto, and that is open to the public. However, you must endure a 20-minute video as an induction, which is completely free.
The Rio Tinto Road quickly devolves into dirt, and although it does receive maintenance, it is not without corrugations that give the van a nasty rattling. We eventually had to let air out of the caravan tires to save it from being shaken to bits. The road follows Rio Tinto's train line to Karratha, so big trucks and bigger trains are frequently encountered. The trains are hauled by 3 or 4 engines and are up to 2.4 kilometers in length. Fully loaded, they weigh around 30,000 tons.
It's slow going trying to take care of a not so off-road worthy caravan. We've decided to break the journey up and camp roadside, not far from the Fortescue River. Here we can assess the damage. We've had the light fitting come off the roof, panel come loose, and other than that, the light fittings weren't too much of a problem. They just sort of ripped through the roof, but with a little pivot like this, you could just re-screw them through, put it all back together, and as good as gold. As for the wood panel, Wilms pops on a bit of wood glue and Bob's your auntie. It's like a new one. The Fortescue is WA's third longest river system. Its headwaters start north of the mining town of Newman, and it discharges south of the coastal town of Dampier. Although an ephemeral river system, it boasts permanent pools lined with shady eucalypts. Always a good place for birding.
Millstream and Chichester Range National Parks merged in 1982. What was once the old Millstream station is set alongside a spring-fed creek of the same name, just upstream from where it joins the Fortescue River. The station itself once stocked a large number of sheep, in addition to throngs of cattle and horses.
This resource-rich environment has been, and still is, home to the Yindjibarndi people. The first explorer of European descent wandered through in 1861. There was a fellow named Francis Gregory who reported the region as favourable grazing lands. A lease was taken up 4 years later. The old station homestead has been renovated as a visitor centre and mini museum, showcasing the history of the region, the environment and its original inhabitants. It's an excellent little display of old wood stoves and paraphernalia of the colonial age.
A short stroll from both the campsite and the old homestead is the shady Millstream Creek, dominated by gum trees, paperbarks, and the Livingstonia alfredi palms.
The main feature here is the lily-covered Yundawarrina pool. Due to the inevitability of damage to this fragile area and the spiritual significance to the local Aborigines, there is no swimming here. Although the local grebes don't seem to be following this rule, neither for that matter are the fish, all in breach of park rules. Typical.
The spring water is nice and warm, a good place for a Pilbara olive python to escape the cool winter's nights that the arid zone often delivers. Another resident normally associated with the tropical north is the blue-winged kookaburra, whose raucous communal calls are a prominent feature of dusk and dawn. The campsite is generator-friendly with toilets and gas barbecues. Wildlife spotting is easy enough, even just from your front door or tent flap. Wallaroos are regular visitors and somewhat habituated. Feral cattle still journey in for water, and bird life here is notable as over 120 different species inhabit the park. These are variegated fairy wrens. The handsome blue ones are males, where the brown ones are females. Better camouflage for sitting on eggs. Hikes branch out from the campsite that lead down to the river overlooking some small cliffs. If it's too hot for hiking, a swimming hole called Deep Reach Pool is a short drive away.
The aquifer that feeds Millstream Creek is also an important water supply for the Pilbara region. A water pumping and treatment station here sends water out to Dampier, Karratha, Roban, Wickham and Point Sampson. Being such a remote area, local wildlife is commissioned as groundskeepers. Unfortunately, the head man can usually be seen lying down on the job.
In and around this enchanted area are more dirt roads with more superb views over this intriguing landscape. Eventually, all good things must draw to their conclusion and, in this case, evolve into other good things. Our time here is done, and a new adventure awaits. We hope you enjoyed this latest installment of Western Walkabout, because we're not done with the Pilbara just yet. We still have the coast to explore. In the next episode, we'll see the Burrup Peninsula, Point Sampson, and historic Cossack. Plus, we'll check out Port Hedland and journey north to Pardue Station and beautiful Port Smith. We look forward to seeing you there. Until next time.